You ever catch yourself saying something so familiar, right? Like you catch yourself mid sentence and then you start wondering if you actually believe it. This happened to me the other day, and I'll share this quickly. My wife and I were sitting on the floor of our son's room. The Hot Wheels were scattered everywhere. I was helping him build a racetrack. But my wife and I were also having a conversation, right? We were passing thoughts back and forth about our future plans, financial goals, certain things we want to get done around the house, especially before baby number two gets here. And after about an hour or so of bouncing back and forth between the Hot Wheels and our conversation, I looked up at my wife and I said, honey, once we get through this, we'll finally start getting ahead. And after I said it, I paused, right? I was like, I said it again. It's just something about that phrase, right? Getting ahead. I've used it for years. Maybe you've said it for years, right? It's one of those expressions that just rolls off the tongue so easily, especially if the topic of conversation is centered around growth or progress in some way, or a responsibility that you have, whether it's as a parent or on your job, whatever it is. But I remember looking up at her and I said, honey, once we get through this, we'll finally start getting ahead. And like I said, as soon as I said it, I caught myself. I was like, oh, I can't believe I said that again. Lately I've started to realize something really important. And I don't know, maybe it's because of, the wisdom you gain as you grow older, or maybe it's because of the season of life that I'm in right now, but I've realized something really important. What we think of as getting ahead, right? Getting ahead might actually be pulling us further away from what we really want. And so in this episode today, in this video, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about, okay, well, what does it mean to get ahead? What does that mean? That expression, that phrase, get ahead. And what is it that we're actually chasing? What is it that we really want when we say it? When we make statements like that in conversation or to ourselves, once we get through this, once I achieve that, once I hit this milestone, I'll finally feel like I'm getting ahead. What is it that we're really chasing when we say that? And you know what else? I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off here. We've been sold a version of success that sounds smart, that looks great on paper, but it's quietly keeping us stuck. And so that means that we have to redefine some things as well. And I also want to unpack that a little bit today. All right. So let's dive in. What does it mean to get ahead? Right? Let's answer that question. Okay. What does that mean? That expression, that phrase, get ahead. Well, for most of us, it means reaching a point where we finally feel free. Right? Raise your hand if you would agree. It's reaching a point in our life where we finally feel free, and that's free to prioritize what matters. Maybe it's free to rest, free to stop sprinting, right? Hustling, constantly being busy. We believe that once we make more money, or once we pay off debt, or once we hit that income level, or get that promotion, or buy the house, or stack up enough savings, we'll finally get ahead. But ahead of what? Ahead of who exactly? Maybe it's getting ahead of our peers. And so there's some sort of status comparison that we're playing. Maybe it's getting ahead of future hardship. Maybe you're in a season of your life right now where you're going through something. It's tough. You're going through a certain situation. There's a circumstance you're experiencing right now that isn't what you hoped for. And so you're trying to get ahead of future hardship, which means you want security. Or maybe it's getting ahead of who you used to be, your old self, right? I'm on my self-improvement journey. I want to grow as an individual. I want to better myself. So I want to get ahead of who I used to be. Maybe it's getting ahead of a fear of not being good enough. some sort of internal belief or limiting belief that you have, some sort of emotional weight you're carrying. And so you're looking for that validation. Whatever it is, whatever you're trying to get ahead of, when we make that expression in conversation with others or in conversation with ourselves, honey, when we get through this, we'll finally start getting ahead. And then we'll finally get to exhale, right? We'll finally be able to breathe, to relax. Here's the truth that I've had to confront. And like I said, I've said this expression for years. I said it just the other day in a conversation with my wife. It's like I said, it's one of those things that just easily rolls off the tongue. But here's the hard truth I've had to confront, okay? Getting ahead is a moving target, all right? Getting ahead is a moving target. Every time you inch a little bit closer, the finish line shifts. The goalpost keeps moving, right? And when you get that raise, when you get that promotion on the job, that new raise, that becomes your new baseline. When you get the house, when you achieve, once you hit this milestone, that new lifestyle, that becomes the new standard. When you feel like you've gotten ahead of this group of your peers, when you look up, guess what? Someone else is ahead of you. And so we're no longer ahead. We don't feel like we're ahead anymore, right? We just feel like we're behind in a fancier way. And I know this because I lived this. I followed this path, right? I tried to get ahead of my peers. I tried to get ahead of future hardship. I tried to get ahead of who I used to be. I was doing all of these things, but I didn't feel ahead. I felt behind in a fancier way. And I'll give you an example. I spent years in a corporate career, accepting promotions, kind of, sort of climbing the corporate ladder. I had one foot on the ladder, one foot off. Like I said, I was chasing promotions that looked good on paper, but they weren't aligning with who I was becoming, right? I didn't feel fulfilled. And so when I look at that situation today, I wasn't chasing status because, like I said, I was kind of, sort of climbing the ladder. I was chasing the promotions, but I wasn't fully invested or committed to climbing that ladder as quickly as possible in my early years. So what was I chasing? I was chasing stability, right? I wanted to be a good provider. I wanted to create options for my family. I wanted to get ahead so eventually I could step back and prioritize the things I care about. I could step back and give more of myself, more of my time to the things that are important to me. But guess what? Right? This is the trap that so many of us get caught up in. I was chasing the promotions, and with every promotion that I got, it demanded more. It came with more responsibility. It required more of my time to be invested into the job, to be invested into the responsibilities, into the task that I had to get done. But guess what else I was doing? I kept telling myself, okay, you know what? This is fine for now. This is helping me provide. This is helping me to get ahead. So this is fine for now. But deep down, it wasn't fine, right? Something felt off. I was trying to get ahead, but I was really feeling behind in a fancier way, right? Things weren't adding up. And so I made some really big changes the last couple of years. And what I did is I decided to walk away from that job. After 8 years, I decided to walk away from that job, not because I hated it, not because it wasn't a good job, not because they didn't treat me well. They treated me very well. But because, watch this, I realized that getting ahead in a life that doesn't feel like yours isn't really getting ahead at all. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, comment the word me in the comment section if that struck a nerve. If you've realized that getting ahead in a life that doesn't feel like yours isn't really getting ahead. And you know what else I had to realize, or what else I had to confront? I had to realize that getting ahead isn't about more, right? I thought it was about more money, another promotion, more this, more that. Getting ahead isn't about more. It's about alignment. It's about choosing the life you want while you're still building it. It's about making a choice. It's about deciding. But you know what's hard about that? Alignment requires sacrifice. And so when we talk about getting ahead, again, I'm having that conversation with my wife. Honey, once we get through this, we'll finally start getting ahead. That requires sacrifice. It doesn't require more. It's not about more, it's about alignment. And alignment requires sacrifice. And so what are you willing to sacrifice, my friend, to get ahead? What are you willing to sacrifice to create space for the life you want? What are you willing to sacrifice to reach, to achieve, to accomplish what you want? So here's what getting ahead really means. Okay, here's what it means. Here's what we're chasing when we say, I want to get ahead, or I want to feel like I'm getting ahead. Here's what happens when you make that choice to choose alignment over more. All right. Getting ahead looks like waking up with a calm mind instead of a racing one. You ever wake up feeling, whether it's in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning, just feeling stressed, overwhelmed, just so worried about the day, your finances, that meeting at work, just worried, and your mind is constantly racing. That's exhausting. But wouldn't it be amazing to just wake up with a calm mind, peace, clarity? Getting ahead, it looks like being present at dinner with your family instead of you mentally being somewhere else, instead of mentally being in your email inbox, instead of mentally being at the office, instead of mentally being at work or in your business. It looks like being present, to listening, and I mean really listening to the stories your kids tell you, paying attention, making eye contact, responding. Getting ahead looks like choosing a career. Maybe that's a different position, a different industry. Maybe it's starting your own business, but it looks like choosing a career that gives you time to breathe, that gives you space to grow, right? And to grow as an individual. It gives you the energy to build something meaningful. Getting ahead looks like setting boundaries, saying no, making trade-offs. And so getting ahead is about sacrifice, my friend. It's not about more. It's about sacrifice, which requires you to redefine what success means to you. It's not giving up on success. It's redefining what success looks like to you. And so when I think about that conversation my wife and I were having, we were talking about our future plans, financial goals, things we want to get done around the house before baby number 2 gets here. And when I looked up at her and I made eye contact, and I said, honey, once we get through this, we'll finally start getting ahead. What was I really saying? What does that mean to me and my family and our situation right now? It means having the time to spend more time as a family. It means sitting down for dinner, and laughing, having conversations instead of mealtime feeling rushed because I have to get back to work. Getting ahead, what I'm chasing, is more of those moments sitting on the floor with our son, Hot Wheels scattered in front of us, building racetracks, having conversations. And so the question I have for you, my friend, and I want you to ponder this for a moment, is I want you to ask yourself, what does getting ahead mean to me? What does getting ahead mean to you? And again, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, comment below your answer. What does getting ahead mean to you? What are you chasing when you say that, when you make that expression? What is it that you really want? And then I want you to ask yourself, is the path I'm on right now, is that path leading me there, leading me toward that thing, the life that I really want? Or is it pulling me further away? You know, one of the biggest aha moments that I've had in a long time is that you don't have to earn the right to prioritize what matters. You don't have to earn the right to prioritize what matters. It's a choice. It's something you decide to do. You decide to prioritize what matters, and you can start right now. But you have to redefine what success looks like for you. You have to redefine what this expression, getting ahead, what that means. It doesn't mean more. It means alignment, the freedom to live a life aligned with what you value, aligned with what you care about most. It's choosing the life you want while you're still building it. If this is resonating with you, if this struck a nerve, like I said, I want to invite you to subscribe to my newsletter, the Clarity Letter. Every week, I share actionable ideas just like this one to help you create more meaning and margin in your life, to help you align both your life and your work with what you care about, with the things that matter most to you. So you can live not only a clutter-free life, but an intentionally rich life. Right? We're creating space for the things that matter. And I want you to be a part of that, my friend. If you choose to join, send me an email, introduce yourself, let me know who you are. I can't wait to meet you. Keep growing and journey, my friend. Keep learning, and always remember to stay true to you. See you next time. Peace.